Give me 7 minutes and I'll change the way you prepare for the Iran war. Because I think most people are preparing for the wrong version of this. They hear the words Iran war and their mind goes straight to the dramatic stuff. Missiles, troops, maps, breaking news, world war headlines. And look, I get it, that's the part that grabs attention, but for most people watching this in the UK, the real danger is not that you are suddenly going to find yourself in the middle of a battlefield. The real danger is you prepare for the cinematic version of crisis and then completely miss the ordinary, boring, destructive way it actually enters your life. Through fuel, through food, through prices, through delays, through blackouts, through shortages, through a system that starts wobbling in quiet ways before most people even realise what is happening. That is what I want to talk about in this video, because if you understand this properly, you stop preparing emotionally and start preparing intelligently. Welcome back to Charlie Survival. If you haven't already, subscribe and comment below telling me this. When you hear Iran war, what worries you most? Fuel, food, blackouts, prices, or something else? Because for most British households, the real impact would not arrive as a missile, it would arrive as pressure. Now, here's the shift I want you to make in your head. Stop asking, how do I prepare for war? And start asking, what does war do to the systems my life depends on? That one question changes everything, because most people prepare as if they're staring into an action film, when in reality, if the Iran war carries on, most people in Britain would experience it more like this. The weekly shop gets more expensive, fuel jumps again, heating costs rise, certain foods get patchy, deliveries slow down, public anxiety grows. The news cycle becomes relentless, and people who are already stretched become more fragile, more reactive, and more likely to make bad decisions. That is the real battlefield for normal people, not the front line, not home front. And I think once you see that clearly, your whole approach gets better, because the first thing I want to say is this: you do not prepare for an Iran war by becoming more dramatic. You prepare for it by becoming less fragile. That is the game. Less fragile financially, less fragile with food, less fragile with power, less fragile psychologically, less fragile in a way your household functions day to day. And to me, that's the difference between panic and preparedness, because panic is focusing on headlines, preparedness is focusing on the knock-on effects. So let's talk about those knock-on effects, because this is where most people go wrong. If the conflict involving Iran escalates, especially around major oil and shipping routes, the first major pressure point for countries like the UK is not abstract geopolitics, it's energy. And energy is not just fuel your car, it is transport, logistics, food movement, farming inputs, packaging, refrigeration. It is delivery networks, it is modern life. So when I hear people say, why should I care about a war over there? That is the answer, because modern Britain runs on systems that do not like disruption, and once energy gets squeezed, everything built on top of it starts feeling pressure too. That is where I think most people make mistake number one. They prepare too narrowly. They think, right, I need to prepare for violence. But unless you are in a very specific role or place, that is probably not your immediate issue. Your issue is the British chain reaction. What happens when fuel rises again? What happens when supermarket prices move sharply? What happens when imports become less reliable? What happens when households already living on tight margins get squeezed even harder? What happens when fear spreads faster than facts? That is what you should be preparing for, and once you get that, you start focusing less on dramatic fantasies and more on boring essentials. Food, water, power, cash flow, storage, warmth, transport, lighting, backup options, breathing room. That is the right frame, and if you want useful basics and practical gear without having to figure it all out yourself, have a look at my Charlie Survival Amazon kit list in the description. I've tried to keep it grounded around things that actually make sense for normal British resilience. And if you want the easiest free place to start, my free blackout checklist is linked in the pinned comments. And if you want the full UK specific step-by-step version, not just bits of advice, but a proper system, that is what my course, the UK Crisis Readiness System, is for. There are now over 60 active members inside, and I've had a lot of positive feedback from people saying it is actually helping them feel calmer and much more structured in how they prepare. Now, I want to go a level deeper, because this is where the mindset really changes. Most people prepare for the event. Very few prepare for the behaviour the event creates. And behaviour is often what makes a manageable situation worse. Because let's say fuel gets tight, let's say prices jump, let's say the news starts talking about disruptions. What happens next? People queue, people overbuy, people panic order, people fill tanks they did not need to fill. And suddenly the stress in the system becomes more visible, not necessarily because there is zero supply, but because public behaviour changes all at once. That is why I always say this: in a crisis, you're not dealing with the disruption, you're dealing with everyone else's reaction to the disruption. And that means one of the best things you can do is prepare early enough that you do not have to join the rush. That's the one hidden superpower of preparedness. It buys you emotional distance. That's the goal, not to become invincible, just harder to shake. And that brings me to what I think is the biggest mindset shift of all. Do not prepare for war as if your life is about to become extraordinary. Prepare as if normal life is about to become more awkward, more expensive, and less reliable. That's the best model, because most British people are not going to face an action film crisis. They're going to face friction. That is what actually wears people down, not one big dramatic moment, a series of smaller pressures that expose how dependent they are on a system they assumed would always work. So what do you actually do with that? Well, the first thing is stop thinking in extremes. A lot of people hear war and think in binaries. Either everything is fine or everything collapses. But real life is messier than that. Usually things just become less smooth. And if you are prepared for that middle ground, you're in a much better position than the average person. So I would think in layers. Can my household handle a short blackout? Can we handle a sharp rise in food prices? Can we handle patchy supermarket shelves for a couple of weeks? Can we handle fuel being more expensive or harder to get? Can we handle delayed deliveries? Can we handle a period where convenience drops and self-reliance matters more? Because that is the real point here: clarity, not chaos. Now, here is another shift I want you to make in the way you think about this. The best prep for war is not often tactical, it is domestic. That sounds less exciting, but it's true. Can you cook from basics? Can you store water? Can you charge devices when the grid is down? Can you light your home safely? Can you stay warm? Can you keep morale steady? Can you reduce your dependence on constant top-up shopping? Can you keep enough in the house that a few strange weeks do not instantly turn into stress? That is not glamorous, but it's powerful, and honestly, I think too many people skip that because it is not sexy enough. They want the dramatic answer, the bug-out answer, the secret tactic, the elite gear. But for most people in Britain, the winning move is not to turn your life into a war film, it's to make your home more resilient. And the final shift I want to make is this: preparing well means you can pay less attention, not more. This matters because if your version of prepping leaves you glued to the news, constantly stressed and permanently on the edge, then you're doing something wrong. The whole point of this is to build enough margin that you do not have to emotionally react to every headline. You should be able to say, right, I've got some food in, I've got backup lighting, I've got water, I've got a bit of fuel margin, I've got a plan. I know my weak points, I know what to do first. That is what real preparedness gives you. It gives you the ability to stay calm while everyone else is trying to work out what is going on. So if I could sum up this in one sentence, it would be this: do not prepare for the Iran war by imagining the most dramatic outcome. Prepare by identifying the ordinary systems in your life that would become more fragile if global instability got worse. That is how you win. That is how you stop being reactive. That is how you become harder to knock over. And this is how you prepare like an adult, not like someone role-playing collapse on the internet. So if this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, and comment below telling me what this changed for you. Did it shift how you think about food, fuel, blackouts, the way public panic affects everything? I'd genuinely like to know. And if you want the easiest practical next step, grab my free blackout checklist in the pinned comment. If you want the deeper step-by-step version for the full UK specific system for people who want a complete plan, not just random tips, then have a look at the UK Crisis Readiness System course. For people in the UK, the value is not just the information, it's the structure, it's the confidence, it's knowing what to do first. And if you just want practical gear recommendations, my Charlie Survival Amazon kit list is in the description. Thanks for watching, and it's great to have you in the community. If you enjoyed this one, you enjoyed this one on screen now, and it helps turn all of this into something practical. Click it and I'll see you over there.